Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about Philippians 1:14. And it says, "And most of the brethren in the Lord," this is Paul speaking, "having become confident by chains, are much more bold to speak the word without fear." Let me read that again. "And most of the brethren in the Lord, having become confident by my chains, are much more bold to speak the word without fear." Here's the thing. Paul's chains are the thing that caused people to look at, to see his confidence, to see his faith, to see that he was in chains, he was in prison, he was being tortured, and yet he was still having faith in God. He was still believing that God was going to see him through, that Jesus was real. He was still preaching the word of God. And that boldness, his chains, because he was in that situation, it caused his faith to look bigger and be bigger. And because of his chains, people started to have more faith, and they became more bold. And now, because of his chains, people are more bold in faith and want to preach Jesus, want to talk about Jesus. You know, it's so easy for us to focus in our own problems, in our own mistakes, in those things that are chaining us, the chains that are around us, the chains that are around our minds or souls, the things that we are struggling with. It's so easy for us to focus in our problems, our financial insecurities, problems with lust, problems with unforgiveness, problems with you name it, fill in the blank. It's so easy for us to focus in our own chains. But maybe God is still allowing those to be there in your life. One, because maybe you need it. And two, because maybe it's those chains that are going to propel other people looking at you to come to Jesus, to be more bold in faith. Maybe they see you struggling with that unforgiveness. Maybe they see you struggling with those mistakes or with those insecurities. They see you struggling with those chains, but they see that you're pushing through, that you're still having faith in Jesus Christ, that you're still seeking God, that those chains are not keeping you down. They might be present, but they're not keeping you down. Maybe those chains are the things that God is going to use in your life so that other people can have faith, because they see those, and to propel them and to push them forward. Maybe those chains is exactly what your neighbor needs. The problem with us is that we usually are ashamed of our chains. We all struggle with something. We all are seeking God because we struggle with something. We want to be free from something. Maybe it's our past mistakes. Maybe it's something someone said to us or did to us in the past. Maybe it's present insecurities or anything that's going on that's chaining you down. And we usually tend to be ashamed of them, and so we hide them. We don't want people to see that we have those insecurities. We don't want people to see those chains in our lives still lingering around, because we profess to be Christians, and so we're supposed to be free. And so we hide those little things in our lives that are chaining us down. But maybe those chains is what is going to help your neighbor. And maybe, just maybe, that when you start being vulnerable enough and opening up about the things that are chaining you down, about the things that are keeping you enclosed, as God uses those chains to propel somebody else's faith forward and boldness to preach the word of God and to be more faithful to God, maybe that's the vulnerability that you need so that those chains can be finally broken. The more we hide our mistakes, the more we hide the chains that are around us, the tighter it's gonna get, because it's just us. The more we expose those things into the light, the more vulnerable we are, the easier it is for us to break it through, because God has already forgiven us. When we come into his presence, he has already forgiven us. And when he forgives us and we accept Jesus Christ into our heart, he takes everything, the good and the bad. It's all his. The problem is that we're so used to that, the weight of those chains, we're so used to that being around us, that we don't want to let go. We feel empty. We feel like there's something missing. And so we hold on to the memories and we hold on to all of that. When Jesus has already forgiven us, it's already his. And he's going to use those things for his glory. But we are ashamed and we don't want people to see. And we are so used to having that fear lingering around us and having that chain of unforgiveness, or that chain of lust, or that chain of doubt, or that chain of confusion, or the chain of sexual abuse, or whatever chains you're carrying around. We're so used to carrying that around that we don't want to let it go. The more you expose it and let God use those chains that are around your life for his glory and to help people come closer to him, because they can identify themselves with, they can see, man, she is dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with. And if she can do it, I can do it. I'm not alone. But when we hide it, people start feeling by themselves. And then because they feel alone, because they think that nobody else is struggling with, and I'm Christian and I'm not supposed to be struggling with this, and you're not sharing that, the more alone we feel, the less we want to share. And it keeps continuing on and on like a domino effect. But the more we share and the more vulnerable we are of our own shortcomings, the more we can free other people and free ourselves, because we are going to realize that we're not alone. We are going to start realizing how much God really loves us. That yes, we've made mistakes. That yes, we're dealing with stuff. There are chains that are very hard to get rid of. But Jesus already took them. And it's time for us as people to let go of them. First Philippians 1:14. And most of the brethren in the Lord, having become confident by my chains, are much more bold to speak the word without fear. Maybe somebody else's freedom is depending on your chains. So share it. It's already God's. He already forgave you. Help somebody else become bold, and speak the word without fear. And be more confident by your chains today. God bless you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.